Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 29th episode of the Better Leader Podcast. Today, I'm going to be starting by telling you a fable and a story that I actually heard back when I was in middle school and that has stuck with me to this day. Then we're going to transition. We're going to talk about hammering our strengths as leaders, which kind of goes along with the first thing that we're going to be talking about. And then I'm going to finish up by talking about an aha moment that I had as a leader within the last couple of weeks. So this story goes, as we start out, that there once was a boulder in a land, and it was like the largest rock that was around. And this boulder, he thought to himself, like, okay, for a little while, this is really cool. I'm large. People can't move me. I'm stable. I'm strong. But he began to look at the sun. And as the sun rose and set each day, he's like, man, I watch it cascade across the sky. And this boulder, he was no longer content with being where he was. And so he wanted to become the sun. And so he became the sun. And he got to see, man, I have the power to bring light and darkness across the land. And it was awesome how he would move from spot to spot and his seasons would change based on where he was. But the sun started to notice. As he was the sun, he started to notice that the clouds could actually come in front of him. And they could cover him up and block out his light. And he thought to himself, man, if I could just become the clouds. And so he became the clouds, and he could go across the sky. He would float. The breeze would blow him. He had freedom to kind of go about the land, and he could develop this rain and watch it fall. But he became discontent again because he was like, the rain gets to actually fall. If I could become water, if I could become one of these raindrops, I would get to go down to the land. I could have the power to carve out the earth over time. And so he became this water. He became the raindrops. But then what he noticed is, man, this takes thousands of years to actually carve away at these rocks that are here. As I'm water, the sun can come out and dry me up. But this boulder over here, it stays no matter what the season is. And it would take me thousands of years to even move it an inch. And so he said, you know what? I actually want to be a boulder once again. And this is the parable or the cycle of discontent. Being discontent with what could it be? It could be your circumstances. You're always looking at what someone else is doing and thinking, man, if I had their circumstances or situation, I would be a lot better off. Or maybe it's looking at someone else, their skills, their abilities, the giftings that they have, and you so badly are like, man, if I could just be them, then I would be effective. And what that does is when we're in situations and settings like that, we're always looking towards the next thing or how we could be, then we miss what is right in front of us. We miss being effective at what's right in front of us if we're always playing the comparison game. This really hurt me probably whenever I was a younger leader, especially when I first started coaching. Because if we're being honest, there is a piece of all of us that is self-conscious, right? That we're unsure of ourselves a little bit, especially as a leader when you're putting yourself out there. That's natural that you're going to feel that. And also as a leader, it's very natural that you have a desire to grow in things, that you could look at shortcomings that you have and say, hey, I do want to be more like somebody else who's doing a really good job at this. But when it gets to the point where it's inundating our action or where it's a constant distraction, we're always looking at what could we be? We have to stop and we have to evaluate. Am I content with who I am? Am I happy with who I am? And do I feel like I can actually make a difference with what I am doing? We might need to take a step back and become content in who we are. You know, this happened for me probably in my late 20s as I was like, man, if I could preach more to larger crowds, then I would be more effective. If I had the platform that X, Y, or Z had, then I would really be doing something. But over time, what I realized is, man, I'm just so thankful to do exactly what I'm doing that my hand is at right now. It took me a long time to learn that. God had to teach me that contentment through some seasons where I looked at and I said, you know what? I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing right now. I'm happy with what my hand is at, and I got to keep my hand to the plow. Now, that doesn't mean I don't look to others and say, hey, where do I want to grow? How do I want to get better? And look at situations and circumstances and say, how can I place myself in a position to have more opportunities? But if I was only focused on what I didn't have or what I couldn't do, I wouldn't have done the things that were right in front of me. I think I'm at a better spot with this now in my mid-30s. But if you're like me, when we get in those self-conscious moments, when we put ourselves out there as a leader, it's easy to think and to become discontent with who we are, our situations, and our circumstances. And if that leads us to inaction, we really have to evaluate, man, what am I doing in this season? And so that kind of leads into the next point. is if we're always looking at someone else, we're probably thinking through what are the weaknesses that we have. And as a leader, your tendency and the tendency of many people is to say, hey, what am I not good at? How do I get better at what I'm not good at? And that's not a bad thing. I would never encourage someone like, don't look at the things you aren't good at and want to get better. Like, you should want to get better at those things, and you can get better at those things. But I heard this and I kind of realized that I was listening to a basketball coach, college basketball coach. He was talking about the types of players that he recruited. And he said, man, everybody wants to be a scorer. You go to any basketball camp, any AAU game, everybody wants to be the scorer. But I'm looking for is key strengths in very specific roles. And we recruit players, and then we take them and we say, hey, if you are an elite rebounder, or you're an above average rebounder, how can we make you elite? If you're an above average passer or an average passer, how can we take you to above average or that elite level? Yeah, you might want to become a 20-point a game scorer, and you can keep working on that. But instead of focusing on 5 things they aren't good at, what's the one thing that they could be really, really good at? And so that would be my question for you is, number one is, do you know what you're good at? Have you ever sat down and thought about, man, what am I good at? What do I bring to the table? And the way you figure that out is, number one, oftentimes what you enjoy is a strength. It does lend yourself towards understanding what your strengths are. Not always. You can enjoy something and not be very good at it. I love singing, but I'm not good at it, right? So just because you like it doesn't mean you're great at it. But oftentimes where your heart posture aligns towards, man, I enjoy doing this, it's often evidence and a sign that there might be a strength there. But probably the clearest way is, what do other people tell you you're good at? What do people unsolicited tell you that you're good at? Or even solicited, as you sit down with someone, you say, hey, what do I have to offer? What are you good at? What do you have opportunities in? And then hammer that strength. One of the things that I've done for a long time is some video editing, some graphics. It's not the highest strength that I have, but I would like to think, man, I'm maybe average to slightly above average in some of these things. But what I notice is there's subsets of skills within doing creative work. And at one point in time, I had my mind set. I was going to learn the program After Effects because I was like, man, if I could do this, it would help me in a variety of areas. But what I started to realize is I got more into After Effects, and I said, okay, as I compare the way I use Photoshop or Illustrator or Premiere, or how I am in videos and photos compared to doing like After Effects, I was like, I am not good at this. I could spend hours and hours and hours learning, training, and trying to develop this skill. But at the end of the day, after I did some projects, I was like, I do not enjoy this, number one. Number two, I don't feel like I'm picking it up very quickly. So therefore, I wasn't feeling like it was going to be a big bonus to my own personal skill set or to my organization. And so I decided, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's not a strength of mine. So I'm going to actually hammer down. I'm going to learn how to do a podcast better. I'm going to learn how to film video. I'm going to learn more about audio and some of those things, graphic design, that was a little bit more niche and specific to what I needed to do and what would be beneficial towards me. And so I would ask you, personal attributes wise, what are your strengths? Are you a great communicator? Are you great at rallying a team together? All of us as leaders have that responsibility in some way. Are you great at administration and organization? Are you great at casting vision? Are you better at behind the scenes work? Are you technically gifted? What are you strong at? Would you lean in and develop a game plan to develop and further cultivate those skills and those strengths that you have? I'm not saying never pay attention to the weaknesses you have, especially if it's in the area of like leading people. Say you're a weak communicator and you're the leader of an organization. Well, you better get better at communicating. You better learn some skills, or you better put some people in place that can do that effectively for you. So there are certain shortcomings we can't ignore, right? If it's being unkind to people or not treating other people with respect, and maybe you need to grow in those things, or how you lead your family, like you can't allow that to continue to be a shortcoming. But especially in the area of skills and technical skills specifically, are you spending a large amount of time doing something that it might not make sense that you're going to be good at down the road? What if you took away that 10, 20, 30% of time you were spending on that skill and you started to invest even further in what you're already good at? And it's that hammer your strengths principle. If you're a great rebounder, become the Dennis Rodman, right, of rebounding. And I've been thinking about that lately once I heard that college basketball coach talk about that. I was like, man, that's a pretty obvious thing. We need to hammer our strengths. I said I had an aha moment as a leader a couple of weeks ago. I actually lead a meeting on a lot of Sunday mornings, and it has to do with a lot of our team, a lot of our people who serve at our church. And I love getting to lead this meeting, but I also really enjoy getting to watch other people lead it because I love learning from other people and I love getting challenged from other people. I believe that people have been given a voice and ideas and thoughts for a reason, and it's good to hear from a variety of people. As I sat there and I listened to another one of our staff members lead this meeting, I kind of had this aha moment, this moment that kind of dropped into my lap, and I just kind of stopped. And I looked around the room that was full of 40, 50 people kind of packed in before we began the day. And I had this moment where I'm like, what a responsibility it is to lead. What a responsibility, an awesome responsibility. But it reminded me of, why do I want to become a better leader? Why are you listening to this podcast? Why do you want to lead the people in your family, your friends, your friend groups, your workplace? Why do you want to lead them better? Because we have a responsibility. If you've been given a position of influence, if you have any amount of authority, what I would challenge you is to remember, man, we have such a great responsibility. I want to have a high character because of the people that I'm responsible for. I want to have a high skill level, a high knowledge base. I want to continue to grow and develop because the people that I am around deserve it. I have that responsibility as a leader, and I also have just that drive and that desire to become better for those people. And I want to see that happen to them as well. And so as a leader, you develop influence, right? As a leader, it's always about the people. And I sat there in that moment and I remembered, this is so obvious. I'm not telling you anything as you're even listening to this that you don't know, but it's always going to be about the people because leadership is influence. And how do you develop influence? It's through other people. And what a responsibility we have to care for them, to care for their families, to care for their children. And it doesn't matter what setting you're in. I don't care if it's education, coaching, business, nonprofit, church world. You have a responsibility as a leader to care for and to shepherd other people well. And if you want to have a more effective reach, if you want to have a greater capacity to do more within your organization, if you want to make more money, whatever it may be, whatever is that underlying goal, just know that that never supersedes the people that are around you and the people that you are responsible for. And it's kind of this inverse effect, really, as you pay attention to the people, as you care well for the people, those things often follow anyways, because leadership is all about the people, and you have a responsibility to care for them well. So be content in who you are. Don't stop wanting to get better, right? But don't always look towards the other people. Be content in who you are. Hammer your strengths. Find out what you're good at. And remember that it's all about the people and treat people well. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Better Leader Podcast.